After the game, Trevon Diggs identified Mike Leslie. So on one of Kittle's catches, Diggs is like not the primary defender. This isn't Donovan Wilson. He's like trailing on the play.
So Diggs is, he's carrying a route. I don't think he realized the ball was completed right away. So he was still kind of following his guy and then realized it was completed. And I think he kind of pauses. He's still moving downfield, but you can tell he's like kind of assessing things. Like it's processing the angle he needs to take. And then he goes and he tries to make the tackle. And then Kittle gets down to like the 1. And so that was that big play that Kittle hit on the crosser where then he turned up the field and almost scored.
Mike Leslie from Channel 8. Now, does he have a thing with Diggs? Diggs been going back and forth with someone throughout the year when they ask about other receivers that he's potentially going to cover.
So, yeah, Diggs has been going back and forth with everybody this year.
We have for that.
The main one is Podell Beckham, Garrett Podell from CBS Sports. He has gone at him a couple times. Garrett is really young. Garrett's, I think, out of college 2 years. First gig, and works hard, and just asked him a question asked him one week, hey, how does Chris Olave challenge? We played the audio, you remember? And he was like, he's a good receiver. And then a couple weeks later, he asked a similar question about Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. And
Diggs kind of blew it off. And then when everything kind of dispersed afterwards and the media availability was done, he kind of let Garrett have it a little bit. And he was like, why are you asking how receivers challenge me? Why aren't you asking how I challenge receivers? It's like, I mean, that's a question for the New York media to ask Neighbors. That's not we're getting your perspective on that right there. And so he's gone back and forth a little bit. Mike is, I think, thought of by some of the players as a bit of an instigator at times. And so there's some, I'm sure Diggs has had issues with him before.
So Diggs goes into the locker room. I thought that Mike's tweet was a reach. We can all call out Trevon for not tackling and other things.
Right.
I thought it was a little bit of a reach. I'm like, I'm not focusing on Diggs on that play. You know, if you want to use it for your effort cut-ups in the film room and say, is everyone running 110% to the football? I guess you could. I thought it was a little bit of a reach to pick on Trevon. Trevon went into the locker room, saw the tweet, and stormed back out in front of all the media.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took from that? You don't know football. You can't do nothing that I do. You can't go out there and do nothing. Stay in your lane, buddy. Stop playing me, bro.
Just asking the question, Trevon. I mean, I'm happy to have you answer the question.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took for that? That's what you got from that whole play, that's what you got from that?
I'm asking. We can talk about it more. What were you doing then?
We can talk about D's. Drop the D's nuts on him.
Nuts.
Drop the D's on him, which is all-time funny.
It is all-time funny. I get like these notifications on my computer, like articles that are written, and the Sporting News just said D's nuts. All it said was that was it. That was the headline.
What if we drop the D? We should figure out a way to drop the D's nuts on Jerry tomorrow.
Oh yeah, how would we do that? I mean,
it'd be so much better if they won and Diggs did this, but it's gonna be tough.
Just ask Jerry when the last time he dropped D's nuts on anybody.
Oh,
these were in the San Francisco press box yesterday. Deets nuts, which are actually, you would think, oh, so there's a nuts? No, Deets nuts, which are meat bites, honey maple smoked sausage. So the sausage is named Deets nuts, but you could work it in like that. Say, Jerry, we heard that the Deets nuts were very popular in the San Francisco. Have you considered adding those to the press box?
So I expected this to kind of be like 70-30, maybe like 80-20, 80% blame towards Diggs, 20% towards Mike Leslie. I thought this was going to be a media watchdog moment. It is not. I stayed up an extra 40-45 minutes watching the reaction pour in.
Wow.
Trevon Diggs is getting absolutely destroyed and taken apart. From being soft, rabbit ears.
How long were they in the locker room for?
About a minute or two.
And in a minute, he was already able to go on and find that.
I'm sure he opened his Twitter, looked at his mentions, and it was what he saw several tags in his mentions. I'm guessing where it's like he sees somebody.
I want to know what's customary time wise in a locker room with a player going in checking their phone. Like, He came back out in full pads. Like, he didn't take off the jersey.
No.
He checked the phone. People were getting on him for that a lot.
He was probably still wrapped. He probably still taped up. He probably was.
Like, you're not getting in there listening to the team speech first. Did McCarthy just go in there and say something for literally a minute, maybe 2 minutes? Because Diggs storms right back out. You were there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's...
Was Mike even in there yet?
Mike was in there. Mike was first or second person. He was in there really early. But they were in there. I don't know how much it was. Yeah, was there a speech? Is it Mike was about to deliver speech? Because obviously the locker room's closed for like 6 or 7 minutes. So it may have been a case where some guys were just getting in position, so Mike hadn't started talking yet, and Diggs was looking at his phone and then jumped up and went out there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what alerted Cowboys PR to where they knew he was out there. Because Diggs can kind of just, in a room of 53 people, it's probably easy for him to just walk out and them not notice that he went back out there. And it took a few minutes, and it wasn't until then PR came out and was like, get back in here. And I don't know if it was they realized where'd he go.
It's soft, but I mean, also the instigator part of this whole thing. I mean, I didn't think that was a fair assessment of what happened on the play. I mean, yes, it was a bad look from Trevon. There were 14 other things in that play that you could point to that were the cause of why the ball got down to the 2 yard.
When Trevon said that's what you took from that play, I agree with that.
I agree with that.
And I think we're like the only ones. I think people are so sick of the Cowboys and they're so pissed off at everything that when a player does anything that comes across as whiny, they're going to get blamed for it. And, FAF, we're fair as you know what on this show. We got to be objective, like in the courtroom.
I think is it a little nitpicky? Maybe. But also I will say this. It's really innocuous. When you think about it, saying, what's he doing on this play? That's literally the extent of it. It wasn't like, Trevon Diggs looks like he's loafing here. There was no accusation. It was literally a question of, what is he doing on this play? Obviously, it was meant a little combatively, but read in a different context, that could literally mean, what was his responsibility in this play? Was he supposed to be here? Was he supposed to do this? It's not necessarily accusatory. And so...
Trevon still shouldn't go out there.
No.
All right, with that said, it's what I said last week. When you're getting your ass kicked, and they did. They may try to spin it. We went to San Francisco. This is a Super Bowl contender. We lost by, 6 points. That's it. We were within a touchdown. When you're getting your ass kicked, be quiet. Now, this is just what I would tell my son. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Until you bounce back, until you prove yourself, until you're tough enough, until you're good enough, you have to take it. Just be quiet. You have no right to talk. That's what I would tell my kid. But there's Diggs snapping afterwards. He's getting taken apart everywhere.
Yeah.
I woke up 4 o'clock. My brother is lighting up my phone because of this. Your players, and he's a Commanders fan in Maryland, your players and your owner act like you're the Pats of Belichick and Brady. That squad got to be dismissive with the media and answer only the questions they wanted because they delivered and brought home titles. Y'all haven't won squat in 20 years, and you turn around and act like the media needs to walk on eggshells with you, and you'll only answer the questions y'all want to answer. Get a effing grip. Dak actually doesn't act that way. I do like him, but your general culture is S. Jerry eggs it on, too. When you see your owner talking to the media like this, F it. Why wouldn't I if I don't like the questions either? And that was my brother going off, setting the example from the owner. Let me go ahead and follow it. I don't like what's being asked. I don't like what you say, so I'll snap at you as well.
Sure, there's that's a fair point to make. I would also say, though, I think if Jerry never has that interaction with us, that still plays out exactly the same with Trevon Diggs because that's kind of Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs is, we've talked about it before. Diggs does have rabbit ears. He hears everything.
He's my new target now. He's my new person to pick on this defense. It was
just like other teams.
It's been Tank. It's been Tank. It's been Jalen Smith. It's been Micah at times. I'm trying to think who else I've targeted. It's Diggs. He's way too sensitive. He's definitely not that hardcore defending the run. He doesn't want to tackle. He's not shut down. He's not locked down. He gives up big plays in yardage and big plays in terms of moments in the game on third down. Trevon Diggs is my new target. Stop being so sensitive. Stop being so soft about it with the rabbit ears. Act like a pro. And act like a big dog corner who's getting paid all that money to try to be a lockdown guy. But you got so much attitude and so much edge that gets redirected in the wrong places. When you hype with this media guy for asking you about the other receiver to cover these questions, he got the wrong type of attitude oozing out of his pores. just oozing out of his pores. And you can see it sometimes with Stephon too. Like, just like, don't come at me sideways. You know what I mean? And you're not good enough to be acting like Deion Sanders.
He was a guy who
Trade watch. I know Deron Bland didn't play. If you do have to make a decision, forget about Dio and Micah. Let's start sniffing around that. Let's start sniffing around what Diggs could bring back.
And I mean, that's
sorry.
They're going to have to deal one of the corners.
And I disagree with Mike Leslie. I disagree with Mike Leslie's tweet. But be a pro, man. Stop getting so worked up and flipping out over every little small thing. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that he's historically he's considered unique, I think, by a lot of people who evaluated him and by the Cowboys, in that he does hear things. He definitely internalizes it, but he does seem to self-motivate with it. And so that's why they haven't always been bugged by it. He really impressed on NFL teams when he was coming out of Alabama that whenever anybody would make a reference, even in passing, to just saying, you're Stephon Diggs' brother, right? Or anything like that, he would get hype with NFL teams and tell them, no, I am Trevon Diggs. I'm nobody's brother. That's not my name. My name's Trevon Diggs. I'm my own man, and I'm a football. And he would get and he loves his brother. He and his brother are close.
Yeah.
Generally, you want to be associated.
But the idea is just, you don't know. You recognize.
And I don't have a problem with that.
But I mean, that kind of chip on his shoulder thing with everything.
Yeah.
There's a line, right? Where there's a line we appreciate it in Jordan and we appreciate it in Brady and those guys who go, I'll take any little slight and turn it into this big thing. Diggs does that too, but it's not done to the level of the greatest, and it's not done. It feels like it's more petty and personal than just, this is self-motivation.
Yeah.
It's let me lash
whiny.
out. Yeah.
It's whinier.